Dr. Randall, the Soul Doctor, author of Soul Doctoring, Heal Yourself, Heal the Planet, shares her 40 years of experience as a cross-cultural practitioner, medical futurist, and expert in 20 different modalities of healing, along with amazing interviews with some of the leading minds in medicine and big thinkers in all walks of life. The stories of our lives are the woven energies of our soul's paths. They feed and ignite the spiritual light that nourishes the universal soul, the one mind, the cosmic consciousness where we all come together. This podcast is going to be a deep dive into the personal stories of people who have made significant contributions to the planet. What formed them? What moved them to become these leaders and innovators that inspire us so? Hi, Audrey.
Hi.
So nice to see your beautiful face.
It's so nice to see you.
It was a bit of a struggle. You know, we had to travel through a few dimensions there to get here, but we're here.
Yes, we are. And it just reminds me of our whole, meeting. And I was thinking that the first time I met you, which was so many years ago, I was so grateful then, as I am now, that there was actually a medical doctor who was so evolved. And to this day, I think you are probably one of, maybe there's a few others who can combine those two worlds. And I just want to say it's extraordinary. I am grateful. I am, I love you from the first moment I've seen you, and all these years, I just, bow my head to you and your work and your spirit and who you are. Just want to say that.
Wow. Well, you took my speech, because when I thought of you and I said, we're going to do this show now, I thought she's such an extraordinary person. And the first time I laid eyes on you, when you floated into the room, I knew who you were. I knew who and what you were. I mean, before anybody introduced you as to what you did, or before I even spoke to you, I said, that woman is special. She's very spiritual. She's a teacher. She's a healer. She's beyond that. And, we're going to be working together in the light. That's what I thought.
And I was just starting out then, and I remember you whispering in my ear when we were evaluating and diagnosing, and you said, wow, that person has got some, bad spirits going on, and or they, and I always felt alone in this, and then having you there to support me through it has been a very important thing for me, because I had felt so alone in it. So just want to say that.
Well, that's interesting, because that was one of the questions I was going to ask you, and I'm still going to ask you it, but I'm going to go back and introduce you afterwards. So I knew from a very young age that I was different, but I didn't know that other people weren't different too. And I only learned that not in a really good way, because I could hear people, what they were thinking. I could see their energy as they spoke. And sometimes I would say to my dad, oh, wow, that guy, Charlie, he really likes Alberta. He goes, what do you mean? I mean, he likes her a lot. And he'd go, he'd be really mad. He said, don't tell lies. I said, Daddy, it's not a lie, it's the truth. He said, go to your room. Stay in your room all night, no food, no water. Do not come out until you figure out what being a liar is. So I did what he said, and I went in my room and I stayed all night. And when I came out the next morning, he said, did you figure it out? I said, yes, I did, Daddy. He said, good. Wow. And as years passed, I was always so grateful that he never asked me, what did I figure out? Because what I figured out was, you don't tell people things they don't want to hear.
It's incredible.
I did not figure out that I was doing something wrong. I did not figure out that what I was doing or how I was the wrong path, which was phenomenal and miraculous because my dad was 6'8" and very powerful. So I thank God to that and my animal friends that, kept me special.
Right. And you think about when we started talking about the soul, intuition, healing, the knowing, what's really going on with someone, it wasn't accepted. It wasn't. Not at all. And
I mean, integrative medicine wasn't even accepted.
Exactly. And getting insurance for being a, chiropractic wasn't accepted either.
No, they were quacks when I was going to school.
So you see how far we have come in it. And now people are opening to it, which is wonderful. But we've been on this journey for a long time.
Very long.
You call yourself a soul doctor. I'm a soul healer. And that is why I think we're very successful, because it is the missing piece in healing. And it's time now, which is I'm so excited to do the show, because there's so many things. When I do media, you still have to be careful to say. Like even when I did of talking about the fire in Los Angeles, I was told to be careful I don't talk about the spirituality of fire. And I'm like tired of it. I just want to go full force into energy, what's really going on.
Yeah.
People really suffer. So thank you for doing this show, because it is a mouthpiece for it that is needed without
you need to read my book, because in my book, I say it. And on several shows I've been on lately, I just say, they ask me.
Of course.
So
it's time.
What is this? What do you mean? How do you get to the cosmic consciousness? And I tell them, I said, you really want to know? They go, yeah. I said, okay, here it comes. Sit back. Because it's, really through this integrated type of healing that we feel connected. We begin to feel connected with ourselves because we feel different disciplines. We begin to feel connected to each other. We begin to feel connected to the planet, because once you heal yourself, you can't look at plastic bottles the same way, or, because you become aware and you become connected. And it's the connectedness is what it's all about.
Yes.
And that connectedness is where the cosmic consciousness comes from, and where all souls reside.
And it also answers the big question, why do we get sick? Where does illness come from? And if we just take a look at it on the physical, we're gonna get lost, which is what you're doing with this integrative medicine that you're doing, which is you're looking at the soul, which is so important about why someone gets sick.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then it's their journey in healing, soul doctoring, heal yourself, heal the planet, that takes you further. And then that connects to everybody else, because we were put here on this planet to heal each other.
Exactly. And then also with addiction, working in an addiction center, seeing addiction as a doorway in to enlightenment. I've always seen it that way in a different perspective. They're so antiquated in the way people look at addiction. And, I'm around it, and I see what heals it's a tough room. My husband would say it's a tough crowd.
Yeah, it was a tough
but
room.
They respond to the new perspective, which is the higher perspective, the soul perspective. And what where you stumble, there lies your treasure. When you're in addiction or you have a sickness, it's a doorway into enlightenment, period. And that perspective will change everything.
Mm-hmm. So after those wonderful words, my guests, I'm going to tell you a little bit about this amazing woman that I'm speaking with. Her name is Audrey Hope. She's a soul healer. She's a multi-talented force in the healing arts for over 20 years. Wow. 20 years. You guys have been doing it for 40 years?
Wow.
Yeah. But 20 years is a long time. And Audrey uses her revolutionary healing techniques and her abilities as a clairvoyant psychic medium to get to the root of the problem. Think about that. What is that? Think about that again. The root of the problem. We were one of the ones in the group that brought about getting to the root. And I honor Pax and Chris for their, being open to it, taking it on. I don't care. If you get the person saying the right words, it pushes your cause forward. I don't, we did that with the environment, and Xavier Osklovsky used to say our words. So the apprentices, I honor them for being those kinds of people, because we need those kinds of people. And, he still brings people to my office.
That's amazing.
Right? So, he's opening up. Audrey believes that one must go beyond the rational mind and the traditional boundaries of therapy to the deeper reaches of the soul to inspire real transformation and change. No doubt, Audrey, no doubt. Mm-hmm. Audrey is also an award-winning certified addiction and trauma therapist. She holds a master's degree in divinity and metaphysics, as well as RAS, resident addiction specialist. And I worked with her in that time period at Passages, actually, mm-hmm. and also at Seasons for a little bit.
And I'm still there.
I know
12 years.
Yeah. Wow. It's a tough go. I did it though. I did it before I met you. So I did it for 16 years. And then my inner self told me, you did good, but this part you're done. You need your energy to do other things. So good job. Keep going. She appears as an expert guest on many television shows, and I haven't gotten to hear about all these. I'm really excited. And she's the host of her very own weekly award-winning YouTube healing show, Hope for Relationships. Love that. Love that. After seeing firsthand the suffering that women experience around their bodies and place in society, Audrey created, produced, and hosted this show, which is really amazing.
Real Women.
Mm-hmm. It's called Real Women. And do you want to say something about it?
I just want to say, listening to it, I don't even know if you knew that I started that way. I was so passionate about telling women they were brainwashed because I worked in a clothing store and I couldn't believe how unhappy women were. It drove me insane to see there was not one woman that liked her body. And I said, I have to do something about it. So I actually had a dream, and the name Real Women came to me. And I said, I just have to go on TV and tell women they're brainwashed. I just wanted to do one show, even if I had to stand, with a sign, you're brainwashed. I was so passionate about that. And here we are in a world of brainwashing. It's now, translated into Beyond Women. Mm-hmm. But which another issue I'm passionate about is the world not being brainwashed. But I started out and then I did everything with it. I mean, I recorded it, taped it. This was so before YouTube. I mean, I remember changing. I was on the Wisdom Network, but I remember changing it all for YouTube, and no one was on YouTube at that time. And no one would. And when I pitched my shows to TV, nobody wanted to talk about spirituality. And this was way before Oprah. So I interviewed a lot of famous women. I mean, women who were before they were famous. And it was extraordinary to see the beginnings of that. And I'm most proud of that because I really think that if we heal the women of the world will be okay.
Yes, for sure. It's the women of the world that are leading the way through the glass ceiling or whatever you want to call it. I mean,
yes, and it will help balance the planet. There's a lot of things we can see. And if the women come to the self-esteem, even if it's one woman at a time. I had a very powerful teacher say, just do one woman at a time. And that really resonated with me. If
Yeah.
you can get one, it'll just pass along and the strings will go. And sometimes, and I'm sure you hear this too, that someone will call you who you said something to 15, 20 years ago.
Right.
They thank you. And that to me just sends, joy in my heart that someone would be so affected. They hold the stone we may have gave them or the something, or they're wearing a tattoo of a goddess. It's extraordinary.
Or it changed their lives.
Yes.
It healed them.
Yes.
And I'm always like, what did I say? And they tell me, I go, can I write that down? Because
I remember when I came to you, you are my doctor, and you said, no, get on the table. You have so much heat in your body. It's a spiritual upgrade. And you did and you laid me down and you did the ceremony on me because I was really sick from that.
Yeah.
And who would see that?
Yeah.
It was extraordinary, and with people who are very spiritual, you need someone with that kind of wisdom to see what's really going on, because the path, there's no manual for the path. And I know that you and I found it out through a lot of adversity and pain and our own struggles, that when you're on this path, there's the opposite force trying to take us down. And that is the path.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would love your audience to hear, that you don't walk off in nirvana on this path. You have to know that as you rise up the tree of life, the opposite is always going to come, and you have to be ready for it, know it, and don't make a big deal about it.
It's not flowers, cupcakes, and butterflies by any means. As a matter of fact, it's very hard.
Very hard.
But some parts are so beautiful, just beyond beautiful, just experiencing it, seeing it, going, look at this. It's opening up. It's working. That there's no greater reward than that.
And seeing manifestation happen, miracles, is extraordinary. I agree. It's an extraordinary path.
So when did you first know, or did you know, or did you think you were like everybody else, or everybody else was like you, when did you know that you were
I'm relating
special?
to that experience you just talked about of being locked in your room.
Oh.
I remember I was born in Brooklyn in Queens, and no one was, into this stuff. But I always knew I would sit and listen to music, and I would always knew that I'm here in my heart. I always knew I'm here being trained for something great. I just knew it.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that I had to work on that. And so I started very young with teachers. I looked for teachers.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, if I could heal myself, that will also help me become my best self so that I couldn't give it to others.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the intuition, the clairvoyance came and developed, was always there, but developed through the healing. As I healed issues, there was more room for the light to come in. Mm-hmm. And because I really feel pure in it, I like to think I'm a one-stop shop. Like, I really want to help people like you do. So I wanted to know if I could read the other side, if I can help someone who needs to talk to a relative who passed over. It was because I really think sometimes that's what's needed. Mm-hmm. So I think the clairvoyance developed out of my love for doing it and out of clearing my issues and becoming really able to handle it. It takes great responsibility. You don't use it for the wrong reasons. And I think then the universe, the gods above, give it to you because they
give you more, because
they give you more.
It's a big onus. I mean, I too had teachers, as you know, and a lot of my teachers later were Native Americans. In the beginning, it was simply the earth. I would lie in the cornfields and watch the corn husks sway back and forth in the wind, and then the corn angel would come to me, the corn maiden, and I didn't know corn maiden. I didn't know anything. I just know there was this beautiful, white-haired, sparkling, completely compassionate, completely loving being that came to me, and she'd tell me everything's going to be all right.
Incredible.
Everything is going to be all right. You're doing the right thing. Just keep on going. And I would feel exhilarated and encouraged by her presence. And later, when I worked with Joseph, he told me, "Oh yeah, that was a corn maiden," kind of nonchalantly, like that was a hot dog, or something, And then he said, that she was coming for you because that's what you carry, that energy. You have that kind of compassion and love and light that you carry.
And I think we always knew that there would come a time, which they call the golden age. I think you and I have known we were getting ready for some special time period, which is now. And I think the COVID is an interesting thing because I, for one, didn't know what form it would take. Maybe it would be an earthquake, maybe it would be a world war, but something was brewing, something was coming that we were all here for, to prepare for.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it's good to know that these
times be prepared by.
Be prepared by.
Yeah.
To know that these time periods that we're living in is major spiritual upgrade.
Mm-hmm.
And if you know that, there won't be so much suffering.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I even wrote about this in my book where I, first I told about COVID and the things it does to people, whatever. But I said, this is really ultimately a very good thing. Not just for us, but for the planet, because it's teaching us what are the things that we need to do to heal the planet. And that is what is going to heal COVID. If you think this is the only pandemic we're going to have, you are badly mistaken. These pandemics come from the way we treat the earth, from the way we treat the animals, from the way we grow food. It's just horrendous. And then actually, if you look at any industrial food, meat producing factory, you'll find, pan COVID in there. That's where it comes from. Because it's horrific and it's demonic and it's just wrong. I call it eating our own misery, and it's not just philosophical. If you ask any scientist, they may not even be religious or spiritual, they'll agree with me on the principle. The meat industry is the number one industry that releases carbon into the air. And you think, oh no, just the cows, a little farting, it's not that much. No, it's not just the animals. It's growing the grain, tilling the earth, which releases the most carbon compared to like every single hydraulic engine or every single, engine, every single gas fuel burning engine in the world, cars, motorcycles, boats, airplanes, add it all together, it doesn't even shine a light to the amount of carbon that is put in the air from this process. And we can do something about it. And if we do something about it and we change it, if we really could magically change it, like right now, there would be no emissions problem. There would be no starving people in areas of the planet that are already desertified.
Amen.
That they have actually removed all the carbon, and they have to migrate, and they have to be fed, and where are they going to go? And the number of mouths is just increasing exponentially.
There has to be a wake-up call.
Well, there is. There is. And it's happening,
The clarion sound of the trumpet. Wake up, everyone. It's time. I think years ago you could hide and you could wait and, do it and take your time. But I think now there's no more time. I think everyone
I think we're at about 10 minutes to 12.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree with Richard Attenborough. We can still change it.
Oh, I think so. But it has to be in every level. People have to really become authentic too.
Yeah, but it's about it's about education. And then it's about teach them to be authentic.
Yes.
So.
And to really heal now. Because in healing, as you know, Everything has to come out into the open. You have to bring it up like ugly, raw. Look at it in order to heal it. You don't need this nicey nice therapy. How are you today? How are you feeling? You need to get raw and in it, because talking about healing and the alchemy of it, you got to get down with it. And what's so complicated about it? I always think you need the keys to it, and then you can heal. So, I'm all for everything coming up and being intense and then looking at it. So that's what's happening in the world. And, people, a lot of good things have happened through all this. They're really not being as selfish, maybe. Ending relationships that are not working, thinking about what they want to do in their life. Time is precious.
Yeah, I find there's more kindness, respect and cleanliness. I mean, some people complain about it, but is it a bad thing to be cleanly? I mean, I guess there's certain parts about it that could be bad for your microbiome, but in general, to be have to wear a mask and wash your hands is a good thing, not a bad thing.
Sure. Absolutely. And then there's also the issue of energy, negative energy versus positive energy and fear. And this fear thing that's happening, I'm studying very closely, having to do with this cult mentality that's happening in the world. Why do people gravitate towards, these kind of things? It's because they're not free. They're not critical thinkers to think freely for themselves. And I really hope that will happen on the earth too, that people will think for themselves and not become just like sheep.
No, I agree completely.
Yeah. So you free the self, and all healing, I think, is about coming back to the self, the division, the split that happens from a tragedy, from a person, other people. You split off, and the healing has to be like a soul retrieval of coming back to the self, which is a very spiritual thing. Finding the answer in your own shoes, coming back to where you left yourself.
Yeah.
Like, that's where I find, as you said, the root of the root. The root of the root of healing is always the relationship with the self. Yesterday, I did a women's group, and it just dawned on me, everyone at this table is suffering from what someone else did to them. And so the healing is the sovereignty of the self, taking back your own power and not letting anyone hurt you or rob you of your energy. Where did you give your energy, and who did you give it to? There's an energy drain. And I find now that I work with doctors too, they're working 17, 18 hours a day, and they don't do anything to replenish themselves.
No.
It's an energy thing, psychic vampires, energy, blood people who come into our lives, and we hook onto them and they take our energy. It's a very big thing in healing.
Yeah. When I lived with the Native Americans, different tribes, different countries, what they all had in common was, a spiritual system that honored nature and honored the self, but also that self being the God within.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. And that's what I first took with me, the knowledge that I took with me when I went to medical school. And, other people, I think, probably didn't have advantage to have that knowledge. So I took that knowledge with me, and then I began to hang my knowledge upon it, because I like Western medicine. I like technical stuff. I invented a lot of neat stuff that saves people's lives, saves people from bleeding to death. That's an important thing. So, but it's the God within. So being thankful to the God above and the God within and the Mother Earth and all the directions.
And knowing the truth that we are these beings of light. and not getting lost into the story of the third dimension. I mean, we're more than we think we are, and people get stuck in their stories, which is a very painful thing. You are more than your story. I mean, in my spiritual work, there was a time when a teacher would say, "Okay, are we done talking about like your mother and father and like your childhood? Like we're done. It's time to let that go. It served you turning from caterpillar to butterfly." And that's a big thing too, with people who come in with a lot of traumas and anger and addiction. Like it's time to say the story served you. Now we have to alchemize it and transform it into something new. And that is the holy instant of healing, the eternal now of healing, which is available to everyone, which really works. We can't be attached to our issues. We have to burn them.
But that's where you move into your greater story.
Exactly.
Your soul story, your soul path. That's what this show is about.
The soul path, which you are more than your story.
You are definitely more than your story, but it gets you there.
And it serves its time and purpose, but it's an old library. We don't need the old books all the time. Like you don't get, they say the benefit of the wound, or, the benefit of the tribe. There's these sayings that you don't get to be, get something, the secondary gain from your wound. Oh, this happened to me and blah, blah. We have to end all victim.
No, open that jacket or that shawl or whatever it is and shine the light on it. Did you notice the light above my head? That always happens to me.
It's beautiful. Yes, I see it even when I don't see it. Yes, I see the shining light. But yes, there are very important principles in healing that are transformative in a moment. Like, I'm a New Yorker, and I always say that I like that the best about me, because we don't have time for anything. We have to get going.
Right. Well, we all are in that boat right now. Yeah. So. Yes. Follow Audrey. We don't have time.
We got to get it. Become, and I work a lot with turning on the lights, in the body, because, one of my teachers was Sri Mataji, and she was going to win the Nobel Peace Prize. And she was all about going beyond the mind and turning on the lights in the spine, and the bliss is there. And that's why people go to India. They're trying to find this, but it's available to turn on our computer, and enlightenment is available to all. And when you enlighten yourself, you become a superpower, and it kind of burns your issues too.
Right.
So I like to turn on the lights for everyone, do this practice where they bring in the sun. And I just learned it's a Native American practice, which I never knew. I have a Native American client, and she says, that's what we do. We put the sun in our cells. And I'm like, oh my God, I've been doing that forever. That's my practice. Put the sun in the cells.
Yeah, I'm a sun dancer, so we dance 4 days and 4 nights.
I love it.
In the summer, in the hottest part of the summer, and without food or water. And after about the second day, if you've prepared yourself right, you go really smoothly. Although it's hot and it's thirsty and it's, but after about the second day, you begin to eat and drink the light of the sun.
Wow.
And it's so divine that when it's over, well, first of all, you usually get, or I usually get a vision. Most people get a vision, but you don't want to vary from that. You want to keep going. You want to keep eating and drinking the light of the sun. And you do kind of learn how to do that to heal yourself. And every morning I sing the sunrise song and
wow,
bring the light of the sun.
So great. Thank you.
Yeah.
I love that. That's so great to find that out about you. I didn't know you did the Sundance. Wow.
Yeah, and then we took the Sundance to Germany because of the World War II stuff, and I was a Sundance mother. Instead of being dancing, I went to facilitate. And a lot of times the Sundance brings a rain like no other rain you've ever seen, and especially in the middle of the summer, and a rainbow that's a circle over the top of your Sundance corral. And you stay in the same place and dance back and forth to the Tree of Life. And then this ice cold water comes and just dumps on you. It's so, it just wakes up your spirit like nothing else. But in Germany, they usually have quite a bit of moisture, and it rained and rained and rained. And I wore my black coat as my trench coat, right? But it was sort of, divine-ish, or like a nun or a priest or something. And then people would look at me and they go, "Why aren't you wet? Why don't you have any mud on you?" And I didn't really know because I wasn't really paying attention to the mud or the wet. I was just paying attention to the people and helping them when they needed help. So it's amazing how God protects those that do his work.
Yes. And that brings us to the idea of surrender, like the path. If you surrender, and I did that, I sat in my room and I experimented like, okay, send me to the next thing. And that things came out of the blue. That's where I ended up at rehab. Because I didn't even conceive of working at a drug addiction clinic, but that's where I was sent to develop, which was incredible. When you surrender and don't try to control the path, that's when the magic happens and you get everything that you need. You see, and not what I want. Like, I didn't want to continue at Seasons. I wanted to go. I have my own practice, but somebody said, take a ride with me there. And I went in, I said hello. And then next thing I know, it's 12 years later.
Right.
But I realized why, because, I see what developed from that, where I thought I wanted. So what you want versus what the universe always has the best thing for you.
Yeah.
And there's a surrender to it and learning how to be intuitive. Everybody can learn how to be intuitive.
Mm-hmm.
There's a way to it. They have to know it exists.
Mm-hmm.
That it's possible to get guidance. Everyone can get the guidance. Mm-hmm. So I work a lot with the animals, and I know, and they so relate to it. Animal is like nature, because there's no like religious stuff around it. It's like nature's the best teacher.
Yeah.
So I work with the animals and I bring the animals in and they pick which one comes to them. And then they have them be their first guide so that they could learn to be intuitive through the animal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I love that, finding your totem. But I also taught as far back as UCLA. When I was there, I was a professor for a number of years. I taught the first courses to medical students on intuition. And I would bring these beautiful stones, which I still have, my healing stones, and I would put them in little satin bags. And everybody got one, and they had to hold it and then tell me what they saw, or what their intuition saw. And you'd be shocked at how accurate they were. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's good for people to know it's within them to do that, to open up the pineal and the third eye and open it as possible. And we do it in our dreams. And that's what Einstein and the great scientists did. They were in a hypnagogic state between sleeping and waking, and they learned, and the music of the spheres, Van Morrison, they open up to the other realms. And these other realms is where the magic is, the creative fire. It's all there, instead of just looking at the Maya, the earth, what's happening. Expand the vision, look up.
I was just laughing because of our experience before the show. We somehow merged two different telecommunication programs and ended up going into multiple dimensions at the same time, which you could see on the monitor. It was like crazy.
But I'm not surprised.
I know, right?
It would seem that way, right? When two or more are gathered in my name.
Oh my God.
When I did my show, I interviewed Barbara Hand-Clow, and she would go into the Egyptian, temples, and her energy blew out all the fuses in the studio. So people carry a lot of light. So I'm not surprised that we would create that.
That's funny. So what do you see? First of all, what do you see for yourself going forward over the next decade? What do you see?
Well, I've been having the opportunity to speak in the media. I yesterday I had to actually. I was working. I couldn't be on CBS. They asked me yesterday. I'm going to be on Saturday. I've been on that. I'm writing now. So it's the taking, like you feeling that the work now needs to become out. The scope needs to go out. And for me, I've always known that. And the timing was off for me. I've always wanted to, but the timing has to be now because I see that I needed to develop everything to become my best self. So I understand the timing of it now. But my dream is to help in a big way. So that's so the scope. And then I developed shows. Somebody offered me a show to develop. I'm doing now. And, so that's my dream. My dream is the media. Bringing it out to the people.
You've always helped people, in my opinion. If it was one by one, or if it was a group of people, or a room full of people, or now it's going into, I guess, a larger number of people through technology. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Well, through, I've always wanted to do like big media, I did E-News, now the big things. That excites me because that's hitting. I always felt I was a medium, but a medium in the right way. Like, I'm not too much, out there, and I'm in the middle, and I can reach people. And I always thought my greatest gift was my ability to reach the average folk. Because, I see what I do. My room that I work with now, I have born again Christians. I have people who don't believe in God. Like there's always a resistance, and I have to work like you do. You have to work yourself through, and I could chop it and get them to hear me. And I always thought that was one of my greatest gifts, to be able to translate it in a very practical way. So I want to continue. And I know that's why I'm here. And I've always known that. So I'm excited about what's happening now because I have a whole team around me. And now I've become an expert on so many subjects. And so I'm excited to just roll with it.
Yeah. Yeah. People ask me similar questions, and I say, I know why I'm here. I know what my sole purpose is, and I feel very lucky for that.
Yes.
And I just want to fulfill it.
Yes, and
which is a pretty big order, actually. But
yes, but
I know I was put here to bridge two worlds.
That's right. Seem like
I
me.
I already have helped bridge ancient medicine and modern medicine. So now I want to take it to the next level. I want to bridge the whole thing, and get people thinking in the area of cosmic consciousness, because that's how we're going to heal the planet.
See, I feel I've been chipped. I feel like I have no choice. Like when everybody else was going out and playing and doing it, I was always on this. There's been nothing else for me. There's been, I'm completely like, I'm sent here. I know why. I had to develop like you, and here we go.
Yeah.
And so it makes life very simple in a way to know why you're here.
Yeah.
The life purpose.
So I told my sister the other day, I said, Linda, I just have to tell you. And I started talking about eating our own misery and raising cows industrially, and this is all kind of things like that, and the disappearance of so many. She goes, Gail, you've always talked about that. I go, oh.
I know what you mean.
You were a little kid. Since I was a little kid.
I know exactly what you mean. And, I was pitching TV shows, going into big studios and pitching about, we got to bring, healing. And I've created so many shows, and they were, no, we don't want to hear that. We don't. And then I developed it in another way. And then I went and then, here it is. So, the journey, I feel, is just beginning.
Yeah.
Trust God and the universe to the timing of things.
So, what do you see for the planet? What's next?
Well, the prophecy is that we're in the golden age.
What is
the golden age? Is
what is Audrey's prophecy?
Well, I feel that because I'm very connected to the idea of the golden age, like ending this cycle and entering the new. So I feel that we're in this like sifting stage.
Mm-hmm.
Things are sifting and churning. I really believe we're in a karmic stage where you don't want to be hurting people right now. You don't want to be deceitful. You don't want to be dishonest. You don't want, because I feel that there's so much light coming and it exposes all the darkness. So I feel this is a cleansing time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, yeah, we're in America and I feel it's the place to do it. Sacred land and forgiveness to those we've hurt and amends and, all that stuff. But I feel it's a tremendous time to be alive. I feel we all came and we're a group of world servers, as it says in Alice Bailey's books. We know who we are in different places. We're all connected. We know why we came. We came as a group and we've done it before. We're going to do it again and we're going to change things tremendously.
Aho. Yeah. That's cool. I believe in that too. It's so funny for me, though. I hear some people speaking, like a guy, I heard him speak, and he was saying he was an anarchist. And yet everything he said, I liked. I thought, oh, maybe I'm an anarchist. I know I'm not, but, just because he said people should be nice to each other, I don't care, if I'm an oddball out and, all of these things that we share with him. And I'm thinking, I wish that more people would know how same we are. I'm way more into sameness than separation. And I think we are. I mean, I call myself an omni-spiritual because I have practiced almost every religion. And I mean, everything, I did the mikvah, I changed to Judaism. I did the bat mitzvah. I did the whole thing. I was Catholic early on. I was Catholic. I met the Pope. I just like them all. I don't think that there's so much difference as there is sameness. I love the Dalai Lama.
And then, I love this because it's all the same, isn't it? And then the rest is just labels.
It's just labels and little details people like to make, differences over, and then a fight. But I don't really think it involves a fight. It involves learning to know other people.
And then to sit in the silence too,
and be
like
kind.
without in the silence, we're all the same. Like, be quiet. Like, let's go out in nature and look at the tree, and let's be quiet, and we'll all be the same. We'll feel it in that way. So it's the speaking and the indoctrination and the ideas and the sin and punishment that has gotten us into tremendous trouble. There's the brainwashing right there.
Right.
So
the answer to that is more just practicing silence and presence with each other, would you say? Or how would you say it?
I like that. I think they say that still small voice within, you have to hear it in the silence. You can't hear it when you're busy and distracted.
And talking.
And we are talking. We're a world that is so distracted. And a lot of us we were staying home. And we've had to stay home and be home. Well, think about things and change things and evaluate things,
and get new ideas
and do that. Like, stop moving
and watch the earth heal.
We move too much
rapidly.
We need to sit still because God is in the silence.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always about that. And God, the universe, is always going to win. We're not going to win. That's going to win. And we should know that. Stop controlling things. You know what I mean? We have to surrender. So I think the simplicity of things is always the best. Truth is simple. And I use the idea of kindergarten principles and cartoons in healing because I believe that the simple things are the most profound.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to reduce it down to simplicity.
Mm-hmm.
So
beautiful.
It's been amazing to spend this time with you. I feel like we are one.
Yeah, we are one.
To put my head next to yours.
leave us with a few words of wisdom, if you would.
Okay. The divinity in me salutes the divinity in you.
Mm-hmm.
The divinity in me salutes the divinity in you.
Beautiful. So tell my listeners how they can get a hold of you.
AudreyHope.com and YouTube Audrey Hope Now. But AudreyHope.com, everything's on there.
Mm-hmm.
And I even, have sessions on there you could sign up for. So I want to say thank you so much for doing the show, for being who you are, and for just being so unique and having your own vision and teaching us how to be free. That is there's so few like that. And I just want to honor that and thank you for that and tell you how inspiring it is that you are on this planet.
Well, thank you, Audrey, for being who you are, because you are very inspiring and you're exquisite and you're extraordinary. And we're going to be keeping our eyes and ears on you so that we have many leaders going into the future, because we need them right now, and especially women leaders. I'm not discounting men, you guys. I love you very much. But I think women have a softer touch right now, and they have more loving and kindness to offer. Yeah. What I like about men is they, we dream the dream. And we do a lot of work on a spiritual level and also physically, but men really manifest that dream. So they get that credit, and we couldn't do it without them. So thank you, guys. Thank you, men.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much. And I love you.
And I love you. I'm Dr. Gail Randall, creator and host of Soul Stories. I just want to thank you for listening to my podcast. I recently got a notification from the International Podcast People, and I was astounded that so many countries are listening to my podcast in the category of alternative health. So thank you, and please continue to listen. I especially want to thank Egypt, Croatia, Japan, and Switzerland, also France and Ireland, because my numbers were quite high there. So keep up the good work and check out my Instagram at Dr. Gail Randall, and particularly check out my Instagram TV, where you can hear me talking about alternative medicine subjects and also see me. It's a very good show, and I think you'll like the subjects. It's on 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time every Friday, but it's recorded there, so you can find it there anytime you look. Okay, thanks again. I love you guys. This is Dr. Gail Randall from Soul Stories, and author of Soul Doctoring, Heal Yourself, Heal the Planet. I want to thank Saltology, our sponsor, at bathsalt.com, which fits perfectly into my medicine bag as it, like me, calls upon the ancient wisdom and modern technology to heal, especially with the stresses and ills of our modern times. The Bokek brand uses organic salts combined with organic essential oils sourced from ancient Egypt to provide a perfect remedy for your bathing ritual and healing from modern stresses. The Relief RX brand is a unique one-of-a-kind healing salt that uses organic CBD, treated with a unique emulsification process to create nanoparticles which easily enter the skin to most effectively heal and relieve aching muscles and joints. Whether from chronic inflammation or just a rough workout, this is the perfect healing bath, especially when you add the organic essential oils of neroli, lavender, eucalyptus, or grapefruit. Your body, mind, and soul will be lifted and soothed like never before. Go now to bathsalt.com. I also want to give special thanks to Larry Antonino and Agora Borealis Recording Studio for music and score, and also to closetotheearth.com for IT and computer assistance.